Hello, we are live here for Lamia Bayan's release reading and roundtable event. She wouldn't let me call it the Wingspan of Treason reading and roundtable event in like the actual stuff, so I had to change the name. But that's why we're here. We're here for Lamia. She is releasing in 2 days, and we are here to shout out her book, and also, you know, maybe some of the rest of us might read some things, but like I also have one. So we are here to get people hyped for Lamia's amazing book, because seriously, she's a freaking amazing author. And then also some of us will read a little bit of what we have written, and we'll go from there. So we are going to start out with some introductions, let everybody say who they are, talk about their book for a minute, and we will go from there. So we'll go ahead and start with Alex and end with the most important person here, which for the first time ever is not me, it's Lamia. So Alex, go.
Hello, my name is Alex. I wrote The Autolyx Stone, which was released in August, so it's been a while now. I'm a member of the Secret Scribes with a couple of these other guys here, and yeah, that's me. Go for it,
All
Tom.
right. Tom.
Me. I like books. I have a beard, so I'm Tom Bookbeard. I am also a Secret Scribe. My debut Sky Pirate novel comes out next year. It's called The Corsair. I'm also a member of the Four Beardsmen of the Book Apocalypse podcast. You can find us on YouTube.
All right, Thea.
Hi, I'm Thea. I am not a Secret Scribe. I have just snuck in here to support Lamia. My book came out earlier this year, The Hiding, which is dark fantasy.
All right. Well, I am Dave. I am, some people have called me the Secret Scribe because I founded the whole thing. But I do have a beard as well. I also like books. My beard is not as good as Tom's, so I don't call myself Dave Bookbeard. I wrote this book, The Envoys of War. It is a fun, witty-ish fantasy adventure that came out just a little bit over a month ago. And we are very excited to be here tonight to celebrate Lamia. And now, Lamia.
Hi, I'm Lamia. This is not what we agreed. We said this would be a round table, but thank you. We just snuck this onto my release timeline. So yes, my book's coming out in 2 days. So I'm just still trying to troubleshoot with Ed, who's trying to log in, but is struggling. I just messaged him, but I don't know if you're still messaging him, Dave. So yes, my book's coming out in a couple of days. Very honored and excited to have all you guys around, and I'm looking forward to hearing some excerpts from your readings, from your books rather.
And we were hoping to have Ari Sanders, L.M. Douglas, and Sean O'Boyle on, and they all went to bed. However, I did hear tell that Ari Sanders might be making a special appearance here in a few minutes. So we'll keep you updated on that. And then Ed Crocker is attempting to get onto the StreamYard currently. So we will see if he is able to slay the technology gods. So I think the best way to start this is just to go straight into the readings. Oh, I think someone is here.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys.
Yes, Ed is here.
Yay!
Yay.
Part of Ed.
I can see your hands, but that is it.
So basically, my laptop camera doesn't really work. So it's technically camera, but you can't really see anything. So I'm mainly just it's really annoying. I've got a new webcam, and it worked on Zoom 10 minutes ago. I just don't understand technology. Sorry, guys.
It's all right.
So I will be as mysterious as Lamia.
Slightly less, because we can at least see that you do have hands and you are not some kind of cyber robot.
Can you see anything?
Yeah, we can
They're
see
like
your hand.
limb buds. They're like little.
It-
We can see
It
fingers.
looks like
yeah.
there's just some tape in front of the camera or something.
Yeah.
Why is my life so weird? I'm sorry.
Actually,
like
I
you're
will
behind
say
the
that I'd
screen.
said that we could tell you were human, but then I started reading your novel and
He's probably a
very
werewolf.
non-human. So maybe you aren't. Maybe you are like. Vampires can't see their own reflections in the mirror,
Well,
right?
wait, guys, I fixed it. I had my new webcam over my laptop camera. Hold on.
And if you wanted to make an entrance, I mean,
You can't ever tell anyone about that. That was the most stupid thing that anyone's ever done. You can't anyone tell. We're not live, are we?
Yep.
Oh, we're
yeah,
live.
we're live.
We can edit that out in post, right?
Yeah,
Just
we're
like
editing
my
that out. No
internet.
problem.
Yes, I will
It never
definitely
happened.
edit this before it posts automatically as soon as we end this episode.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's
I'll-
you're in
I was like-
character.
It's 11 o'clock at night here, so.
I'm a moron. I'm an actual moron. Anyway,
All right,
nice
so-
to see you guys. Nice to see you.
On that note, Ed, you get
Do you
to
want to introduce yourself?
introduce yourself and just let everyone know who you are now that we've seen who you are.
I should have had more drinks. This is yeah. So anyway, hi guys. After that introduction, I'm Ed Crocker. What do I do apart from being a moron? I have a debut fantasy coming out in 2 months called Lightfall. I have it here. I'm going to read from it. This is a review copy. There you go. It's vampires, werewolves, sorcerers, no humans. It's an epic fantasy, and yeah, that's me. I guess I also write reviews and stuff for Fanfare Addict, and I don't understand technology, obviously, and that's me.
All right. So we were about to start with Alex.
I
Talk
get to
up
read
your book
first?
and then
Oh,
read us
boy.
something.
Okay, so I'm going to read a passage from my debut, The Odalic Stone, and I chose something spicy, so this is going to be quite a ways into the book. And let me get my beautiful copy right here that I'm going to read from, hand-bound by me. Okay, so this is on page 275 and does contain spoilers, but I'm going to censor the one thing that's a real big spoiler. So, Lamia, you don't have to run away or anything. But it can't hold water. How can you drink from it? Try. Chirp moved the chalice toward Aster, who picked it up in his hands and examined it. Drink, Chirp said, gesturing to his lips once more. Aster brought it to his mouth. As his lips touched the rim of the chalice, the world went black. Chirp reached his arm out and steadied Aster's body as it went limp. Kara gasped as the chalice crashed down onto the table out of Aster's grip. When Aster came to, he was floating a few feet above the table. The bustle of the inn was replaced with a distant hum. The discomfort in his leg had disappeared altogether. Nobody else seemed to have noticed his new position. They were more concerned with something below. Chirp! Is it some sort of levitation device? This is amazing. Aster floated up to the ceiling, grabbed the chandelier. He was taken aback that it didn't move at his touch. His attention quickly shifted, and he glided back towards the floor. I bet I could get a great view of the city from outside. He edged towards the door. Moving turned out to be more difficult than he expected. He had to push off of the table, but he only made it halfway before slowing to a stop. I feel as if I'm back in Buckwheat Lake, swimming in the mountain water. He forced his hands outward, kicking his feet. It was helping. He slowly made his way to the door, swimming through the air. However, when he pushed on its wooden planks, it didn't budge. Oh well, I could always look outside later. Chert, you must tell me more about... His jaw dropped. At the table, his body was still in Chert's arms. Aster panicked. He swam over to his body, pushed against it to no avail. He grabbed at Chert, dove into his own body head first, and slammed his fist into the chalice. Nothing he did helped. And oddest of all, none of his crew was responding. Am I dead? Aster's nerves began to get the better of him. His breathing quickened and the room spun. He closed his eyes to try and get himself to calm down. A deep, gravelly voice replied, "No, you aren't dead. Though some consider this place to be worse than death." Astor's eyes shot open as he searched, tracing the sound back to the table next to his, one that had been empty moments before. The owner of the voice was unlike anyone he'd ever seen before. Closer to a cockatrice than a Benian, green scales covered his body, and a pointed chin punctuated its elongated snout. 2 broad wings were folded on its back, above a thick tail that flicked back and forth beside the chair. It wore a white robe that nearly touched the floor. "You do understand me, right?" "It has been a long time since I've used this tongue," the beast asked. A set of pearly white fangs flashed as he spoke. Astor froze, staring at the creature. "The noble heron waits patiently for the fish to pass by. So too must I be patient for this opportunity." "Why does it look familiar?" Astor rubbed his temple. "Yes, I understand. Who are you, and what is this place?" The creature's face twisted into a smile, if that was even possible with its pointed snout. "That is most excellent. My name is Celeste, and we are currently in the plane of existence I call the Null Realm." That answer only generated more questions in Astor's head. He stumbled across his words as he asked everything that came to mind. "What are you? How did you get here? Why am I here? Why can't I seem to push anything? Why can't the others see me?" Many questions, all good ones. I will try and answer as many as I can. However, I don't know everything, and the best questions have no answer. Astor remained silent, watching. So Kellis continued, "I am of the Dracon bloodline. We are an advanced society, though we have long since been removed from this world. Our homes contain mechanisms far beyond the simple tools you use today. We had harnessed the power of lightning. We fought the pull of the ground. There was nothing that we couldn't master, even the secrets of the Autolyx Stone." Astor perked up. "You know of the Autolyx Stone? Do you think it's capable of curing my village?" "Yes, that should be well within its power. But be aware that the stone isn't what you may think." Before Astor could respond, the world went black. He opened his eyes and found himself back at the chair on his table, Chert's bulky arms keeping him upright. His head throbbed, scattering his thoughts. And that is all for my reading. Read the Autolyx Stone to find more.
Great. Alice, can you pitch the book, actually? We forgot to get a little pitch. Do you mind? We thought it'd be nice just to talk about all the books and use the excerpt.
Okay, yeah, sure. So the Autolyx Stone is a young adult fantasy, epic adventure. It follows Astor Rutherford, who is the postmaster's son, and he is trying to find a cure for his village. There's a sickness going about, and he's left to the capital city to try to find a cure and a doctor to help examine the village. Thanks, Rowdy.
So you've got an awesome reading voice as well. I liked your reading voice.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm like, I don't know, a decent way into the Autolyx Stone, but he's still at the stage where he's traveling, and just things keep going wrong. And
they will continue to go wrong.
Yeah, not as much as on Voice of War, but you know, he's no Cordon, but things keep going wrong. And like one of the reasons I really love the story so far is because it really hits a nice. I keep saying this, Alex. I know it really hits like a nice nostalgic spot for YA for me. Like the story is nice. It's just the pace is quite fast.
It is fast paced, and it's more styled like the YA of old, like you pointed out. It's not like current day YA, which is kind of a bit different and usually in first person. This is third limited.
YA of old is a good good. Just that's why I like it.
I've just noticed, guys, this is how stupid I am. We got comments on the side.
But
Kelly.
The comments there last time too.
We've got Bo.
Oh yeah.
By the way, Bo already tweeted and skeeted your snafu, Ed. So it's everywhere. Everyone sees it.
Well, You know, I've got details on him. You know, I'll get my revenge. You know, that's not
So
fair.
do I. So yeah, that's
Rowdy
what we
player.
have in the chat so far.
He's a bit rowdy.
That's his real name. It's amazing.
Oh, is it? That's his real name.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, I think Rowdy's quite proud of it.
Yeah, I
He's
mean,
done
I
some
just leave?
interviews.
he's a rowdy dude. He's awesome.
Rowdy's great because every time I interact with him, I have to say, "Howdy, Rowdy."
I thank you, Rowdy. I'm sorry I made fun of your name.
Do you want to just start again? Should we just start again?
Oh, it's
just
all
for
right.
Ed?
He's taking it well.
might-
He said,
Ed,
"Lol,
you might
yes,
need to
it's my
take
real
a
name."
deep breath and just
I'm always like this. It's fine. I'm not going to get it. Better. I'm always like this.
He's looking forward to reading Derelict Stone. He's not going to look at Lightfall.
Yeah, I've lost a reader. That's okay. Plenty more fish in the sea. Also, yeah.
Anyone got any questions for Alex or about the story or the book so far?
I've read the book already, so like I can ask
Ugh.
questions, but I figured I'd let people who have not read the book. By the way, Lamia, that is my I've already read this book moment.
Yep.
for-
Is that
Yeah,
book
two
one, or is
nights in a row.
Did you say, is it a book one or is it a standalone?
It's a book one. I planned on having 3 for the series.
Exciting.
So we'll just a quick question, Alex. How long is your longest chapter?
I don't remember. It's long. My chapters I only have 13 chapters in the book, and the book is 130,000 words. So, yeah, some of the chapters are maybe 10K words. There are a lot of scene breaks, though, to kind of break it up.
I feel like you told me it was 15K.
It might be 15K. That sounds reasonable.
So we regularly pick on Alex, or some of us regularly pick on Alex for the length of his chapters, which but with the pace that it's written in and the style and the way the story is told, you don't feel the length of the chapters. The scene breaks really work.
I love long chapters. I'm gonna say yes to Alex. Yeah, a lot of people like short chapters. I like a good long chapter. I like to just get really lost in it and be like, is this ever going to end?
And
So-
particularly good with YA, because then when you say to your parent, I'm only going to read one chapter before I go to bed, you can
That's
just
perfect.
really long
You're
time.
reading it for the next hour, but you don't have to go to bed for a while. That's actually a
tried
really
that
good
with the 20
marketing.
Pratchett one.
This book will keep you from having to go to bed.
Perfect.
It's amazing.
But there are scene breaks, so you give people a stop to have a breather, which is important.
Like
Yeah.
I read the book and did not notice it at all, and then Bill read it and was like, "What is going on, Alex? Like this chapter is huge," and I was just like, "I don't know." I stopped at a scene break and didn't even notice that chapter was long.
Yeah, Bill messaged me to complain. He was like, I was going to read one more chapter before bed, and I was like, one more chapter is an hour and a half? No way. I was like, oh, wait. That is something I didn't think about, because I was only ever looking at it in print, but he was like on Kindle looking at it, and it gives you the time left in chapter. I was like, that is the reason not to have chapters super long.
I mean, Michael J. Sullivan has like 12 chapters in a 400-page book, and they're all 45, 50 pages long, and he's done well, so you can do it too.
Terry Pratchett doesn't even have chapters. It's all just one long chapter.
It's true.
Point.
It's true.
Yeah, let's get rid of chapters. Screw chapters.
He's done pretty well.
There are no rules here. We're writing. We're indie. We can do what we want.
Yeah.
So,
I
so
kinda
Alex
use-
Alex sent me a. Sorry, go on, Tom.
I was going to say, I kind of use chapters like new paragraphs. Maybe I need to look at that.
Well, when does the course
What does
come
that
out
mean?
again?
How many chapters do you have?
Maybe more delayed than I
206?
thought.
Like
2025.
500 chapters in
I've got it.
200 pages.
That is an issue with thrillers where they have like 149 chapters in a 300-page book, and it's like, I'd like to go longer than a page and a half without changing chapters.
I'm sure I saw someone post a while ago that they had a book that had one line in the chapter.
I mean, As I Lay Dying, William Faulkner, there's a famous chapter which is "My Mother is a Fish."
Yeah, occasionally it's really effective. occasionally it's really effective, but it's got to have a purpose. There's got to be a point. I was going to say that Alex messaged me at one point to say that his main character Asta reminded him of Klaus a little bit, which I think for people who've read the book, it might be a little bit interesting. And actually, as I progress through the story, I can see that he's like a younger version of, in some ways. It's quite nice actually.
Yeah,
That's
they
the badass.
seem to have very similar mindsets about things, and end up kind of in events that are not the same, but just kind of similar challenges overall. I don't know, Dave. Have you gotten through enough of Wingspan to know
I've only
Clouds?
got through like 10%. This thing
10%.
is
Oh, I mean, that's
massive.
yeah.
Look how big it is.
That's like a book for other people.
You two should do like a crossover story where Klaus and Asta team up for something.
Aster's just across the sea. I mean, there are so many continents in Lamia's book that we haven't explored yet, so there's plenty of space for him to be.
And Asta is on a ship, so
Speaking of ships, Tom Bookbeard.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That was a nice
very-
link. That was
That
good.
was.
segue.
That is
Yeah, I
how
can
you
tell you've done this
craft.
before, Dave. I can tell you've done this before.
I've even got my giant mug that, I mean, it has a dragon on it, so it doesn't quite fit the Corsair, but good
That's
sailors.
a tankard.
Tankard.
Normally I'd be slamming back the mead and the like, but I got work in the morning, so I have a piratical glass of water. Because there's nothing more dangerous in the skies than dehydration. This might sound like a fairly random passage, but I feel like it gives a fairly good flavor of the book. Maybe it's a shorter one than Alex's, but yeah, hope you enjoy.
Tom, can you? I'm
raged
sorry. Can you?
overhead.
Sorry, am I lagging? I was going to
No.
say, can you pitch the book? I'm really excited
Oh.
about Tom's book. You've been
Okay.
talking about the Corsair for at least a year and a half from my memory, probably even longer if I think about it. It's all I can think is Sky Pirates, and so I've been waiting to hear a pitch
Best
for
pitch, isn't it? Sky
ages.
Pirates.
Yeah, I know. We want to hear a pitch if you don't mind.
Basically, a year and a half ago, I just went on Twitter and went Sky Pirates, and there's quite a few people followed me and are very excited about the book, and I just keep them waiting because I have a very slow burn, inefficient way of marketing, or maybe a very efficient way of marketing because people keep wanting to know about the book. It is a Sky Pirate fantasy. It's inspired heavily by Treasure Island and Blackbeard because he's my favorite pirate. I think he's really cool. It's essentially, Jim Hawkins in Treasure Island, like goody two shoes, young guy, goes off, has this wonderful pirate adventure, but he's really disappointingly good. Like, imagine if Jim Hawkins joined the pirates instead. That's kind of the Corsair, only the ships can fly as well.
That was a good pitch.
I've read the first chapter. It is fantastic. I am so excited to continue reading it, but I have like 9 books that I'm reading currently.
I really feel I should have read the first chapter, but no, we're doing a section from, I think, chapter 16 or 17, so fairly late on. So as the fighting raged overhead, I quickly decided that to stay in my barrel was a foolish idea. From the sounds of it, the crew were slowly losing the battle. It would not be long before the raiders scoured the ship and found me, or worse, burn it as they had done the ghost ship, with me still inside it. Well, rather than stick an apple in my mouth and call myself a hog roast, I clambered out of the barrel and immediately opened the kitchen's porthole. Many a time I'd wished to climb out of this window during Cook's tenure, so it was not so difficult, having rehearsed the maneuver many times over in my head already. Cook kept a one-man air chute in his trunk, just in case he ever needed to abandon ship. I hoped that it was still working as I strapped it to my back and unfurled the small sail. The small copper gas tanks on either side didn't seem to be leaking as they clinked against the buckle of the harness. I clambered up to the porthole and swung my legs out and over, dangling over deep sky below. The heavy grey clouds churned beneath my feet in response. I gripped the side of the porthole so tightly my fingers ached as I readied myself. After an eternity of feeling my heart beating in my throat, I leaned forward and let myself fall headfirst into deep sky. The wind roared past me as I hurtled downward, the grey maelstrom below rushing towards me. I held my breath as I soared through the cloud barrier and into the deep sky. The world plunged into darkness, and at once I pulled the airschute's cord and sent a prayer to the sky whale that Cook had kept it in working order. The balloon on my back filled with a hiss from the gas canisters, and I felt my entire body jerk upward as my fall was instantly halted. I also allowed myself to let out a long breath as I began to rise. But before I surfaced, I shut off the gas valve so that I hovered just in place. I didn't want to be seen by any of the ships above, and I needed to get to the safety of Cloudhelm before the gas ran out. I looked around at the dark world I now found myself in. Clouds were so thick it was difficult to breathe. I could only just make out dark shapes through the smog. There was little wind, but my sail found a small enough thermal to carry me towards Cloudhelm. So I steadily edged forwards, my breath coming out in gasps and increasing pressure weighing on my temples. I daren't surface, even though I was slowly choking on the thick clouds. I'd heard of none who ventured to the bottom of deep sky and returned, but stories of a world of darkness were regularly shared in the taverns. As far as I could tell, there was nothing but fog all around, and no way of telling how far down it went. I checked the airschute's compass and made sure I followed it east in the direction of the town. The murky world was disorientating, but I had to keep going. Minutes passed like hours in the abyss. I felt like I was swimming, and I felt a little daunted that I couldn't tell how far out I was. Still, I fancied my chances. Bobbing around in deep sky would make me harder to spot by any lookout at the blockade. I'd heard sailors say in Ribcage that airschuts normally had enough tank space to float you for an hour before your gas ran out. I tried to count the seconds without panicking about whether I would actually make it to Cloudhelm in time. And after what I guessed was a good 20 minutes of swimming through clouds, I felt my hair rising up. I heard from somewhere above the spinning of countless gyros. I must have been passing directly under the blockade. I was nearly there. I urged the sail on, gasping for a clear breath of air. My head swam. I felt as if I was about to pass out. I counted another 10 minutes and watched as the hairs on my arm settled again. I'd passed the blockade. Surely, I must have been near. Exhausted, I turned the valve and I started my climb upward. As my head broke the surface, I could feel the air and sucked in as much as my lungs could hold. My heart leapt, as directly ahead of me and jutting from the mountainside was the lower port of Cloudhelm, and the sort that was near enough deep sky for smugglers and undercity types made use of. I rode the air current to the nearest boardwalk, and my hand gripped the splintered wood, and I rolled onto it, panting. I unhooked the air chute, and I let it fall back into the deep sky.
Round of applause.
That was so
Bo
good.
says he's
That was
convinced Tom should be a
excellent.
naughty romance narrator. He's got the voice for it.
Yes. He undid
It's
her
very-
top button centrally, and she gasped. Yeah, you may be right there, boy.
It's an intoxicating voice, isn't it?
It's exactly what I thought it would be like, but better.
My
The
voice or
story,
Corsair?
the story, the Corsair.
Okay.
Your slow burn marketing has worked really well. So
It is
really
so
hyped
good.
for it.
Like I said, I've only read the first chapter, and I was just like, "This is going to be awesome."
There's so much cool world building just in that little passage. Like every other sentence, you were just slipping in awesome little terms. I loved it.
Can't
Sure.
wait to see what the sky whales are.
Yeah, I was going to say the
Yeah.
Great Sky Whale. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's good we sort of have the round table format because I don't know if you all find it the same, but for me, world building is the most difficult part of constructing a novel. And when I wrote the book, it was essentially it was naked, and the world building is me trying to put on his clothes so it is presentable. And my main feedback from my editor was, "Hey, this is great, but what does this look like? Like, what does this smell like? What does this sound like? I have no idea what this character looks like, and we're 100 pages into the book." I was like, "Oh crap!" So, yeah, world building is hard.
I would agree. Like, description is the hardest thing for me. I can write dialogue for hours and just be like, I'm going to town. This dialogue's awesome. I love it. And then be like, I need to actually describe the scene, I guess, a little bit. And it's
I have
hard.
to do the reverse. Like I have to work out what I should leave in. I literally once wrote 3 pages on one window in York Minster, and it ended up being something like a short paragraph in the book. But I've got the 3 pages there if York Minster ever wants them.
I think it's the best way to be. Like, having to take stuff out feels like a better situation to be in than like, oh my god, no one knows what my world looks like. That was time to panic. So yeah, I think I'd much rather take things out than not have enough in.
Tom, I'm an underwriter like you, it sounds like. Yeah, basically one of my editing steps is go in and add some additional detail, add some additional character movements, that kind of stuff to kind of flesh out the scenes a little bit better. So I don't know, I kind of like that approach. It's kind of additive and it helps your vision come to life a little bit, and you can think of things later that kind of really add to the scene that maybe you wouldn't have thought of in the first pass. So I think the additive approach is pretty good too.
I'm exactly the same, Alex. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Ed.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I'm exactly the same, Alex. Like my editor's always like, you need to throw more world building and you haven't described this. It's because I'm obsessed with dialogue. So I'll just go in and I'll just write a book that's just dialogue.
Yes.
And then he'll be like, "You're in the fantasy genre. You've got to do world building." I'm like, "Oh, do I though?" And it's like, "Yeah, readers like fantasy readers like world building." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess you're paying me. Okay."
The characters banter.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter what else happens.
You write the dialogue and then hire me and I'll write the description.
It'll be so good. Yeah.
We should do
If we had
that.
a co-write, we should do that. Yeah.
From
All
that
right.
section, Tom, I wouldn't have known that you had struggled to fill it with world building because you immediately get a sense of like the deep sea, but the deep sky, and the parallel kind of sea things that you associate with pirates are already all there. So I don't know how long it took you to do that if you underwrite initially, but it works.
It took a while. The funny thing was the book used to be historical fiction, and it literally was the story of Blackbeard the pirates. I'd watched, remember the Pirates of the Caribbean film on Stranger Tides, where they made Blackbeard this voodoo guy. I was like, this is wrong. I'm a huge pirate geek. I've got books and books on just pirates, like the golden age of piracy. That was my nerdy thing when I was a kid. This film is wrong. I'm going to write a novel. I'm going to correct everything, and you can imagine how like rubbish that novel was. It was really constricted. It was so historically accurate. It wasn't fun to read. Now, you think Patrick O'Brian is sort of the archetypal maritime history author. I'm no Patrick O'Brian. So I sat on this historical fiction book for a few years, and then I came back to it after I'd started reading sci-fi fantasy. I thought I like the bare bones of the plot and the characters, but let's just take this and turn it into Sky Pirates. And it freed everything up. There was no constriction, and I could just make up things I thought was cool or was interesting to read about in terms of world building. And it set the book free. And here we are. Hopefully I'm going to release it next year so Alex can stop her making me feel bad about it.
I love a good pirate book. One of my favorite authors growing up was Raphael Sabatini, who nobody really knows anymore, but he was a historical fiction author, and he wrote Captain Blood, which was turned into a movie, and The Seahawk, which was turned into a movie, and Scaramouche, which was turned into a movie, which was not a pirate. That was French Revolution. But he wrote like all of these historical novels, these different time periods, and I loved them. And so I'm so excited for some more pirates.
Definitely.
I've got two questions. One, is Tom the only secret scribe that writes in first person?
Eamon's second one is in first person.
Okay, I haven't seen that one yet.
I write in first person, but not for this fantasy series.
I've written all my lit fic was in first person. I'd never written in third person until like this novel.
Well, half of the course there is in the first person from the main character's point of view, and the other half is from the captain's point of view, which is in the third person.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
You kind of get like the captain's view of things and the main character and how he's progressing. Yeah. And really it's all about the piratification of the main character. He starts off as the innocent Jim Hawkins vagrant on the streets of Ribcage, and by the end of the trilogy I'm putting together, he's this archetypal pirate.
Spoilers.
Nice.
He doesn't want to be, though. That's the thing, because all these pirates end up dying very horrible deaths, and he wants to live. He's an interesting character to write.
Speaking of dying horrible deaths, we're on to the next book. I am not Dave Lawson anymore. I did want to call out a few of the authors who were not able to make it tonight. So we've got The Ballad of Spricket the Bard by Sean O'Boyle, which is one of my favorite books I've read this year. He's hilarious. A bit of an arse.
Love that book.
I think, Ed, you worked on that one.
I'm biased, so yeah, great book.
Yeah.
And then Garancia's Guardian by L.M. Douglas, which is another one that I really enjoyed this year. And then I am going to read a small snippet from this book. So let me go from being Dave to, hello, Ari Sanders, epic fantasy author. My book, Demon's Tear. The power of the final blow had been terrific. The warrior knelt on the edge of the high escarpment as he did not have the strength to stand. His eyes were heavy with fatigue and grief as he gazed down into the abyss, trying to comprehend what he had done. The war had threatened his people's very existence. Hordes of beasts were terrifying. Inhuman strength had poured down from the hills. They sought nothing but destruction, but were relentless. Outlying villages had fallen, one by one, the good people torn to pieces by the creatures' cruel claws. The thought of their pain alone was enough to make him weep, even after everything else he had endured. He and his 11 brothers had fought desperately alongside their mighty father, the King Leorak. Yet they had not slowed the advance, and soon the enemy was at the gates of the capital of Ostrobrost. Fire, death, terror. The creatures attacked in unceasing waves, and in the fall of the city, and then the country seemed inevitable. That was when his father had been forced into a terrible decision. Kel, for that was his famous name, closed his eyes and let a small sob at the memory. He knew that there was no other choice. His father could not abide his people's suffering. So he had unlocked the ancient chest that should have remained locked. He had drawn forth the sacred historic swords that should not have been drawn. He looked into his sons' faces, staring deep into their eyes. At last, as if bearing a heavy weight, he had raised the twin swords and gone out through the city gates. The deeds of that night would be woven into sagas to be sung throughout the ages. Blood and courage, fear and triumph, and everywhere, death. At the center of it, his famous father and the power of the twin swords. Demon's Tear, Ari Sanders. I had said that I was going to do my impression of him.
Please do the audiobook for that one. I just want to hear a whole novel in that voice.
Just do audiobooks.
Impression.
All right, Rob. So, what was the hardest thing to write that novel? Like, what was the most difficult thing for you when you wrote it?
Definitely the horses. I don't know a thing about horses.
He actually said that.
I do know
Rob,
a lot about swords and about rowing and about bicycles, though.
Rob, I've heard you handwrite your novels first. Is that true? And what's that like?
I do. It's because I don't actually know how to use a computer. Hi, Rob.
They
Sorry.
don't have those in Wales.
Rob, I'm really sorry. We just want to say that we did not condone this tomorrow morning when you
This
listen
is
to
like the
playback.
roast of Rob, isn't it?
I know. Poor
Love you,
guy,
Rob.
just, had to not turn up because of the storms in Wales, but was knackered. Thanks, Dave.
So I will go ahead and read a little bit of my book, which I will not read in that exact same accent. So my book is The Envoys of War. Wait, do that again, Alex. I have not seen this yet. Very fancy. Whoa. All right. I like that. So it is a snarky fantasy adventure. A lot of banter and shenanigans and plans that go wrong. And it has a character who wears a hat like this, and he is my god. So the man himself, Corden Talon. So I'm going to read a bit from a chapter where Jen and Corden, who are the main characters, are traveling, and a person that they have been with for a little bit has just died. And the enemies arrive on the scene to fight. So I'm going to read a little bit of a fight scene because that sounded like a fun thing to do. So Jen had Meralda in her hands in seconds and moved into a defensive stance. From a nearby alley, the 7 brigands appeared, 5 swordsmen, the bowman who killed Arsene, and their leader, now armed with an oversized cleaver. Nice to see you again. The leader smirked and approached them, his minions fanning out behind him. They focused their attention on Corden, as if Jen was not even there. I reckon we was in the middle of killing you, wasn't we? In response, Jen charged. The first brigand never had time to react, his head meeting Meralda and then leaving his body for eternity. Jen knelt, grabbing the dead man's sword and throwing it at another one of the men, the archer. She missed by over a foot, but she hadn't been worried about hitting him. All she needed was for him to take his eyes off her for a second to watch the sword fly by. Before he could turn back to her and ready himself for her attack, she thrust Meralda forward, piercing the man through the ribs, severing his internal organs. Blood splattered against her face, but she didn't have time to clean it off just yet. She heard swords clanking behind her and assumed Corden was fighting off some of the men. She'd killed 2, and she could still see 3 in front of her, including the leader, so Corden had 2 up against him. Hopefully, he'd be able to hold on for a bit, because she'd used up the advantage of her wild charge, and the men in front of her would not be as easy to take down. They stayed back, waiting for her to attack, and then eased their way forward, 1 pace every few seconds. They knew they had time to their advantage. She couldn't outlast 3 men in a straight fight. She'd need to separate them. But surely the men wouldn't fall for any of her tricks, even though the men were stupid. They'd watched 2 friends meet her blade, and they would be cautious. The leader raised his cleaver. You've got skill, he said. I could use someone like you on my team. How's about you help kill the fop, and then we all get rich together? I'm not in the business of selling out my friends, Jen said, even when they are fops. That hurts my feelings, Corden called, his voice tight. He sounded tired. Not much time left, Jen thought. She had to act now, or Corden would be dead, and soon after, when the men who'd killed him moved to her, she'd have 5 men to fight. Shut up and fight, Jen said, the perfect response for both Corden and the men, because Jen needed silence. The leader stood in the middle with a man on either side of him, all of them watching her, fear in their eyes. How could she get the leader to step forward first, to remove himself from the cover of his men's swords? I like your little knife, she said, indicating the man's cleaver. Big enough to kill you, the leader said with unconvincing bravo. You'd have to hit me first. Jen lunged toward the man to the leader's right, causing that man to take a step back. She moved back to her original spot, but the man stayed one step behind the leader. It was a start, at least. Corden, can you move toward me? She asked. I don't know that I'd be much help, he called, his words punctuated by clattering steel. I just need your daggers, she called. The throwing daggers. Headed your way, Corden said. You'll need more than daggers to deal with us, the leader said. Something like, poison daggers? Jen asked. The leader's neck tensed. He turned to the men on either side of him. Don't let them get the daggers out. Take the man down now. I'll handle the woman. Both men turned to move toward Corden, and in this moment, Jen struck. The men didn't know this, but Corden had only one dagger and no poison, and neither Jen nor Corden were especially handy with throwing daggers. Jen disliked the precision in the gymnastics involved with daggers. It was much easier to overpower your opponents if you just pummeled them with your greatsword. Jen just needed the men to step out of their defensive formation, and as soon as she did, she sent Meralda into the side of the man to the leader's left, kicking out at the leader as she stepped past him. She misjudged the distance and lost her balance, and when she swung Meralda toward the leader, she hit only air. The leader's cleaver struck her, pain searing through her shoulder. She heard a crash from behind her. A man was down, and from the triumphant look in the leader's eye, it was Corden. Jen swung Meralda with ferocity, breaking the leader's guard. He stumbled and fell onto his back. Jen attacked again, knocking the cleaver to the ground. She lifted Meralda and brought the sword down into the leader's eye socket. Her moment of triumph was short-lived. A wet pressure hit the back of her knee, and she fell to the ground, her body landing in a stream of water that had not been there moments before. She saw a sword above her. God's damn, she said. The sword descended.
Why is Corden such a liability?
Hey,
What do you mean? He helped. He was
guys
in
with
action.
daggers. Come on. He fought off two guys. He did a great job. We're proud of Corden.
Okay, he's bait.
I'm a third of the way into Envoys, and I'm loving him. He's great.
he's good fun.
Just the distraction.
People either are like, Corden's my favorite character, or they're like, oh, Corden annoyed me so much. And like my wife was like, oh, Corden was so annoying. And it was like, oh, he kind of has the same sense of humor as me. And she was like I said, he's so annoying. I love Corden. I love Jen. I love all my characters. I had so much fun writing the book. And so far, at least, people who have been reading the book have had fun too. And that's all I can really ask for.
It's been out for what, like a month and a half now? I'm just trying to remember. A month and a half?
Just over a month. Thank you, Bo.
Yeah.
It came out on October 19th. So a month and 5 days. But feels like it's been out for a while now, man. It's just, the last month has gone by very slowly, but also very quickly, because it also feels like I think a book came out a week ago, but also not at the same time. But yeah, like I said to I think Tom and Alex, at the beginning, it was a lot of just dialogue, and I had to go back and like add in things around that dialogue, because while I love dialogue and the characters are very snarky with each other, which is what I do, I had to make it a little bit more than just snarkies back and forth.
But you wrote the action really well.
And I actually had I had written this action, and like I feel like I can write action, but I had no clue how to actually use a greatsword. But I was like, greatswords are really cool. They're huge. Jen has one because she's a badass. And then I had to watch a lot of videos about how to actually fight with a greatsword.
Yeah, I know. And all sorts of like good advice the other, like the motorcycle technique and all this other stuff too, right?
Basically, like the biggest thing you do is you just take these huge like cuts with the sword to try to knock your opponents off balance as much as possible, knock their weapons out of the way, knock them to where they have fallen back, and then from there you can thrust. but you really almost never actually thrust with a greatsword until your opponent is like in a situation where they aren't able to defend. Because trying to thrust with a greatsword is basically taking away what makes it a good weapon. And I had Jen doing a lot of thrusting and like, it's like, no, she needs to knock them down with big sword and then kill.
You and
Did
Rob
you
have
get to
been
try
talking.
one?
Well, Rob knows how to use a greatsword. He owns
Yeah.
one.
He
I'm
makes
still in the
them.
process of trying to find a greatsword to buy. But
Sorry, Thea, what was your question?
No, I was just saying, had he tried one? Because
Okay.
when I've done fight scenes, like I just gotten my spouse like, right, grab the lightsabers. We're going in the alley down the back of the house. We're going to try and choreograph this.
I mean, I have
would
a
love
like
to
a
see that.
sword, but it is like just a long sword, so not quite on the same level. But like I'd written all the fight scenes, and like for the most part, I thought that they were good, but not quite like accurate to the type of sword that Jen was carrying. So I watched a lot of like great sword tutorial videos and learned kind of how to actually use a great sword, and from there was able to write the scenes a little bit more accurate. It is a fantasy world, so like maybe Jen is just a really big badass and can do things with a great sword that some dude in the 1300s in Italy couldn't do. But in general, I tried to be somewhat accurate because a few of my early beta readers and people were like, these fight scenes don't really read like actual fight scenes. They read like a action movie from 2024.
You could have just changed her not having a great sword, just having an okay sword.
No. Jen is the ultimate badass. She has a great sword. I love Jen so much. The only worry I have for Jen is she drinks so much wine. But you know,
I'm
Still waiting for the
Gotta have an
sequel where
occasion.
Jen and Francis the Spider run away into the sunset together.
Francois.
Francois.
I've made the joke that I'm going to start a Kickstarter and have Francois the Spider plushies as part of
Perfect.
the Kickstarter because he's
Excellent.
like a fan favorite who dies immediately. I'm gonna have to be like, she finds another spider and they become
Francois the Second.
friends. Something like
Sounds like
that.
I'm
a
okay
French
with
model.
killing the spider.
I mean,
Can I ask you a question, Dave?
she's got like these big, massive wolves that people can ride that she meets in this book, so she could become friends with them, or other like large, magically enhanced animals that she could become friends with. Because so Jen and Corden are kind of like they're both me. Corden has my witty, snarky sense of humor. Jen
We would
loves
never have
animals.
guessed.
So it's like the two of them mixed together is me. So it's been a lot of fun.
Ed's got a question
Oh.
for you.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, Dave, why did you pick envoys? Because I thought that was a really cool choice to have a character who's an envoy. Because normally in those kind of books, you have like a mercenary or like a rogue or whatever. Whereas I don't often read about like more kind of political envoys. So I thought that was a pretty cool choice.
I wanted to do something that was like, these people are not like, sure, Jen has a sword and she's like a bodyguard type character, but they're not the like people that are out on the front lines fighting, or like the rogues and spies who are always like out being, you know, men and women of action. And it's more like characters who have jobs that, you know, they exist, but they're not the heroes and the people like that. And so they're trying to just do their job, but they keep being put into these situations where they have to do more than their job of just, you know, like delivering a message. And it's like suddenly, well, things keep happening. I guess we need to actually do more than just our relatively, you know, you travel, maybe you fight off a bandit here and there, you deliver your message, you come back, you get a new message, you go. And so I like books where the characters are not the big heroic hero that is the one that is like destined to save everyone, and they're more, I think Tom called it side quest fantasy. And I love that, because it's like they're not the big heroes, they're normal people. And that's the kind of thing that, in general, I like that better. All right. So we've got Ed, Thea, and Lamia. So we'll have Lamia go last because this is for her.
It is not for me. Oh, we keep going through this. I don't mind if anybody wants to, if anybody doesn't want to go last or prefers to go last, I don't mind.
So Thea, why don't you go? And then Ed can go after.
Sounds good to me.
By the way, this is for Lamia, right?
Yeah.
No.
This is for Lamia, yes.
Do you want me to leave?
Your book's like coming out in like, when's your book out?
Well, allegedly on Tuesday, but who knows if the powers that be are going to actually, publish it. I mean, so many hiccups and hurdles and obstacles, so we'll see. We'll find out.
Deliver every copy on Tuesday, don't worry.
No, that's like 1.5 the size of the copy that Amazon and Ingram Spark will be publishing, so don't do that.
Okay. Before Lamia kicks me out of the chat for saying this, it's honestly one of the best debuts I've ever read in the fantasy genre. It is absolutely stunning. So anyone who's a fantasy fan watching, like, has to buy it. Just has to buy it.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean,
thank you, Ed.
You have to.
Ed said so.
And look how pretty it is as well.
Thank you.
I've read 10%, and it's the best written book I've read in several years. So,
Oh,
there you
thank
go.
you, Ed.
buy the book.
But really, there've been so many releases between the Secret Scribes. Sia's had, one recently, one not that long before that. Ed's got one coming out in January. So the idea was to like talk up our books. It's good. It's a practice run for something bigger, but we'll get to that.
Lamia, it's now midnight here, so your book is out in 24 hours.
What?
Oof.
Start the countdown.
Sorry.
All right, so Thea, go ahead and you can read.
So as Lamia said, I had one book out earlier this year, and then there's a book 1.5, which is very shiny apparently, that came out 2 months ago. So I'm going to be reading from book 1 of The Seer of York, which is The Hiding, and it is contemporary fantasy set in a dark supernatural York and is dual POV. Most of it's from the point of view of Harper, who is an illegal witch. But the chapter I'm reading is from the point of view of the antagonist, Usa, who is not human. And I absolutely love writing non-human characters. So I'm just going to read a short excerpt from her point of view. The low sun stretched the silhouette of Bishopthorpe Palace across the broad swathes of green grass running down to where the River Ouse skirted the boundaries of the Archbishop's property. Usa waited beneath a weeping willow, strands of leaves flowing over her like a mermaid's hair. Shouting echoed from within the stone edifice humans took so much pride in, as if stacking rocks in unnatural ways was somehow glorifying. Rock could be worn down by weather, water, and wind. Even those who sought refuge within it would eventually be caught. Usa recognized the voice emanating from the building. Deacon, humans called him. He claimed to work for God, but the hateful bile that spewed from his mouth represented no God Usa knew of the humans or of her kin. Many times he polluted the air of York with his admonitions and scaremongering. The twisted tales he told gave humans the beady eyes of crows and the tender noses of rats. He urged them to seek out her folk and to kill them wherever they may be found. His hands never touched death, but for as long as his voice issued the call to arms, Usa's kin would never find peace. The breeze ran its fingers through long strands of aromatic herbs, planted in squares near the building. Usa let their savory, wholesome scent flow through her. These plants, natural and beautiful, had been collected and restricted, made to grow in slavery to humans. Within the wind, the voices of her kith and kin begged for her help. Usa, hide us. Usa, protect us. Usa, save us. Old superstitions made humans believe these herbs kept them safe. For some, it may even have been true, offering protection against creatures of fairy so dark and twisted Earth herself reviled them. To Usa's kin, every bit as natural to this place as the humans who claimed to own it, the herbs were cleansing and welcome. Their plea solidified her resolve. Let humans believe their silly superstitions kept them safe. Let them drop their guard. In the distance, a deep bell tolled a warning, sending humans skittering for their dens. Usa waited, still and silent. He would come. When the shouting in the hall ceased, the deacon rushed outside. The long material around his legs hampered his movements, tripped up his feet so he almost fell. Mist rolled off the river to greet him. In his arrogance, he paid it no heed. He stood on the bank of the ooze, the water gold, pink and blue as the sun sank. He pressed a light against his face as he spoke to the air. Usa had seen such devices before. They were a blessing to her, helping the folk remain invisible. Humans coveted them like dragon gold and guarded them as closely. She hung back in the shadow of the willow, listening. The owner of this phone is currently unavailable. Please leave a message after the tone. Beep. Archbishop, I'm at Bishopthorpe. It's sunset. Where are you? I found something terrible. The man who was murdered, the ghost walker. I went to their guild. In their records, this isn't the first death like this they've encountered. The veil has been breached. Please, you must return quickly. It's unsafe. York isn't safe. Please hurry. Usa, hide us. The voices swelled, crashed through her body with the force of a storm at sea. His voice brought death. Something dark twisted through Usa's core, a weed strangling her reason, giving way to an emotion she didn't recognize. Usa, protect us. The willow didn't bend as she passed through the veil of its branches. The deacon paced up and down the riverbank, his eyes drawn to the water as the light faded from the sky. Usa, save us. Usa's hand penetrated jawbone and teeth. Her fingers closed around speckled, slimy muscle. His shout of horror became a gurgling cry as the tongue that had killed so many broke away from his body. Soft pink lips flaked from his face as Usa wrenched her hand away from him. As soon as their connection broke, his corpse thudded to the ground. Mist rushed in. It billowed over the body like a shroud. She looked down at the bloody flesh in her hand. He would tell tales of her people no more. It should have brought catharsis, but instead a strange pain broke through her surety. If she didn't know better, she might have thought it was the thing humans called doubt, but such actions were not in her nature. What am I becoming? The thought washed through her, banished almost too quickly to hear, but something of the sentiment remained in her spirit. As she vanished with the sun, the voices lingered on the air. Never tell.
Oh, I love that. I love that section, Thea.
Thank you. I do love writing, as you said. It's such fun to think from that non-human point of view.
She's like one of
it
my.
felt very unhuman.
Yeah.
Thank you.
She's like one of my favorite. It's even hard to call her a villain because you empathize so much with the forces that drive her. But she's one of my favorite villains that I've read in a long time.
I like
the twist,
morally brave.
which obviously we won't say, is so good in about her. The twist is just so good.
I love that every beta reader, when I get to that point in the comments, it's just gone. Like the verbal equivalent.
What is she? She's not human, but Is that a spoiler to tell us like what she is? Okay.
Yes.
It's one of the best
She's
twists I've
actually
ever seen in a book. Like,
vampire sorcerer,
blew me.
and it's like a Ed and Thea's books connect.
You're gonna have to just get it to find out.
I have this on
Like-
my Kindle. I just
Ah.
have not read it yet. But
It's one of
it is
those
on
twists
there. I think
where,
I
like-
got it in one of the like Stuff Your Kindle events.
it's one of those twists where like you're like, I should have got that. It was really obvious, but no one like gets it, and they're just like, oh my god.
The
So
best
good.
twists are like that, where you look back and you could have pieced it together and didn't. That they're the best twists. And the
Yeah.
whole book is like atmospheric like that. It's like taking a trip to York. So definitely worth picking up for anyone who hasn't picked it up.
And do you know, if anyone is in York, I am happy to do walking tours showing where I murdered people all over it.
We might go out there in December, Thea. May take you out. In fact, bring the lightsaber. You know, you
Yep.
said you reenact your scenes.
No, Lamia, don't do it. Don't do it.
That might be an amazing like a trip where you go to York and learn where people were murdered there. Like Lamia, you need to make
Everywhere,
this happen.
Brooke. Like in real life, people have just been murdered everywhere in York. So like it is one of the most haunted cities.
It has the most haunted pub in is it the Drowning? Forgot its name now, but yeah, it has the most haunted pub in the UK, I think, York.
I think so. It's just got masses of different ghost stories.
That just sounds like the sequel to your book, The Drowning. Like it could just be a book in the series.
I mean, there's a lot of water in book 3, so I'm not saying whether anyone drowns or not, but there's a lot of water in book 3.
I can't wait for book 3. Oh wait, no, book 2. Are you including the collection as book 2?
No, this-
the Reawakening.
So I count it weird, so it's like 1.5 because it's
Okay.
that one's short stories. So it's like you don't have to read it. You can read it first, as long as you don't read the first one. You can read it second, but I like them.
I like them too.
Right.
Yay.
Ed, it is time.
Oh, it's time for the idiot. Never gonna live that down. Start this.
And you have
I
to
need-
pitch the book, remember?
What, your book?
No, your book.
Last time he did this, he
Okay.
sold one to my parents. So
Hi. Amazing. Okay.
That's not Ed's book.
Okay, well, I should say I apologize in advance because I have a habit of my passages go on too long. And I feel like, so we should do a safe word. Am I allowed to swear live? Am I allowed to do that?
I think
Yeah.
it's safe. Yeah, everyone in
Okay,
agreement.
so
Yeah.
Lamia, sure thing. If I go on too long, your safe word is shut the fuck up, Ed. Okay.
You won't go on for too long. It's okay. Go on.
I think it's like I might be 10 minutes, so I don't know. I'll try and read really quickly. I'll yeah, it'll be fine. So anyway, my book this is the advanced review copy, not the final book. Not very well. It's called Lightfall. It's an epic fantasy with vampires, werewolves, and sorcerers, but no humans. We don't like humans. Humans suck. And yeah, I won't give you the whole plot because it's a kind of out of context scene I'm doing. But basically, it's takes place in the world of immortals, where you've got vampires, werewolves, and sorcerers. Surprisingly, because I just said that. And an apocalyptic event happened 100 years before the book starts, and so the werewolves kind of have to go to their bit. The vampires have to go to their bit. Sorcerers have to go to their bit, and no one can go in the center of the continent because it's been taken over by these dickheads, basically. This is going well. And so the final city of First Light is the last vampire city, and all the vampires are stuffed in the city, and the poor drink rubbish blood, and the middle class drink kind of all right blood, and the rich drink the best blood, the really good blood that makes you like really good, like like imagine a really good drug or something. And my main character basically has to solve a murder which exposes a conspiracy in the final vampire city. But none of that is really relevant to the bit I'm reading. The bit I'm reading is basically there's 5 kinds of sorcerers in my book, and we're about to meet the main sorcerer character, who is the kind that can't practice magic, which is a bit sad for him. And he lives outside in the desert with a bunch of other sorcerers who can't practice magic. And we're about to meet him, and he's facing off with an assassin who's come to kill him because they all think he's pretty weak because he can't practice magic. Will he turn out to be weak? Let's find out. Yeah, is that okay? Shall I start?
Please start.
Yes, okay. Is that a cat? Sorry, I'm being distracted by this horseman. Is that a dog?
This is Rowena.
Oh, I love the dog.
It's Rowena.
Amazing. Love dogs. Anyway. A kind of magic. Sage Bailey. I stare at my would-be assassin, noticing in particular the barrel of fire powder that hovers in the air beside him. It is a common barrel in most respects. It's made of southern white oak, painted dull red as a not-so-subtle nod to the explosive contents within, and reinforced with thick metal bands. 100 pounds of fire powder? I ask, rubbing the sleep from my eyes. Thereabouts, replies the assassin. I see, I say. Yes, from this range I suppose that will kill me. Not enough to destroy the temple, though I'm lacking certain of the parameters I need to make this calculation completely accurate, I fear. The assassin shrugs and idly brushes some sand off his robes, which are puce red with light orange stripes running down the front and sleeves, standard Kinnet colours. They don't care if some of your temple remains. They consider it enough to kill you. Dare I ask why they want to kill me? You are the leader of the Cult of Humanis. They want to get rid of the Cult of Humanis. If you go, the cult goes with it. The assassin smiles. By the way, your temple defenses are poor. I've rarely had it so easy. We have guards. Barely a handful. I threw them against the wall before they could do anything. Although I'm curious to know what sorcerers who can't do magic would be able to do anyway. We have our ways, I sigh. Did you kill any of them? You can't kill a sorcerer just by throwing him against a wall. Depends on how you throw him. For a Kinnet, you're not really aware of your powers, are you? I'm an assassin. Yes, I reply. So you keep saying. But here I am alive, and here we are, talking. The assassin grins. It's been a long ride. You live so shading close to the northern border, we may as well be in the Centerlands. I got bored. Nothing wrong with a bit of conversation. I sigh and stare up at the sandstone walls of the temple, 100 feet high, supported by thick grey columns in a historic style, topped with elaborate patterns. There are small gaps in the walls made in battles past, through which I can see the stars in a clear night sky. I know who sent you, I begin, and I know why. And I can disarm you with one word. Disarm me with one word? He says, once his belly laughs have subsided. Oh, I doubt that. What's your cult motto again? Something about dreaming? You're not exactly known for your combat skills. There are worlds beyond mine and things I have only dreamt to touch, I reply, stepping back a little, the assassin stepping forward in kind. Not that you could comprehend its meaning, and I stand by what I say. Go on then, funny little Qantas. Show me how clever you are. I don't bridle the derogatory use of my sorcerer class. I am used to his kind, after all. He is the classic over-magicked bully I have dealt with all my life. To him, a sorcerer who cannot perform magic cannot be a threat. His lesson will be learned hard. First, let's start with who sent you. You are not, I'm afraid, a high-level assassin. I might not be having this conversation if you were. If a Neurus, a Cloak, or an Atmos had been sent, then I would have been dead already, I imagine. But Kinnets tend to be on the brutish, obvious side. I'm thinking I might just end this conversation and introduce you to the contents of this barrel, you little Qantas prick. No, you won't. Curiosity has got the better of you. It's written on your face. Anyway, the fact that you're not a master assassin leads me to the conclusion that it is one of the lesser sects who hired you. So the question is, who would find us so offensive that they would hire a second-rate assassin? One more insult and I'll... Carry on listening to me? Yes, I thought so. Do stop interrupting now. Anyway, It has to be a kinnet. Smaller sects stick close to their own kind. Narrow ambition breeds narrow-mindedness. They wouldn't trust a non-kinnet. So that leaves us with 20 it could be. But to narrow down the who further, we have to specify the why. The assassin just stares at me. He is pretending not to be interested, but his eyes and a twitching of his mouth tell me different. I step back again, the same distance as before, as if I'm slowly retreating, and once again, the assassin steps forward a little to meet me. You know, it's funny, I continue. No one ever challenges us out of fear, and why would they? We are a cult entirely composed of, as you so pithily put it earlier, funny little Quantas sorcerers. We're the ones who believe in immortals. We're the ones who believe the children's stories and are mocked for doing so. You forgot you all give yourself worn vampire names. We make fun of you for that too. Sage Bailey sounds like a damn herb juice. Although, to be fair, I understand why you don't want to be reminded of your limp cock mage class. So when they send their assassins, I continue, ignoring his goading, and they do come every few years like clockwork, they come for other reasons. Nuras Sunkalian, he was sent to rob our rumoured coin stores. He read my mind, almost to the moment of my death. Almost. Atmos Raspastian, you may have heard of him, the Cloud Maker. His lightning bolts seemed threatening, though his knowledge of the dangers of metal and conduction were not so much. His corpse is still smoking. Cloak Presbyterian, sent by one of the Western cloak sects who, frankly, just like killing others, was a little better. His illusions were very convincing. Not many people know, however, that there is always a tell in an illusion. He certainly didn't. For the first time, as I give him the illustrious list of his failed forebears, I sense a little hesitancy, a little softening of his all-weather grin. So, my little kinnet friend, I continue, who sent you? I think for a moment, but more for the sake of a dramatic pause than anything else. I've known the answer since he first confronted me. It is the Linklazen sect, is it not? I say eventually. The assassin gapes at me. It is an expression I'm familiar with. I'm not as clever as his expression would indicate. It's just many sorcerers have become lazy over the years. If you let your magic speak for your brain, and soon you don't have much of either. How can you possibly know that? He asks. Because it's not about us at all. You kinnets do like to squabble. The Linklazians are being forced out of their temple land by the Lespasians. They need a new home. I stay abreast of minor intrigue. Always a good idea when you're seen as a soft target for any sect with a few coins. Furthermore, I add, pointing to his brown leather desert sandals, you still have some reddish-orange sand from the Dune Hills on your shoes. The Linklazians are the only minor sect from there. The assassin looks down at his feet and grins. Well done, Qantas. I admit I'm impressed. At least the light of Luce gave you a brain to make up for not giving you any powers. I'm sure the ladies prefer your brain to actual magic any day. I bet you're drowning in bloods and cubs here in this temple. I can't see any, though. Maybe they're all washing their hair. Very droll. I've met my match in this conversation. If only I'd brought some funnier quips to my assassination. The barrel starts to shake threateningly, and I can see my time in parley with him is almost up. A shame. Most of the sorcerers I live with roll my eyes when I spin out my reasoning, but here I have a captive audience. I notice you haven't told me the one word you need to disarm me. He grins. I glance down quickly at the assassin's feet, and then I look back up at his barrel, which is raised quite high now, ready to lower at me. Wait, he says, unsure, having noticed my glance. He looks down at the thick woolen rug he is standing on, a frayed affair, a study in scarlet and blue. It is the only piece of real ornamentation in the antechamber. Oh, he begins, and then quickly hops a couple of steps back to the stone slabs that lie before the rug. You almost got away with that. The old trapdoor trick. Ha ha! Not bad for a Qantas. I'm sure that worked for the others. Not so for a kinnet. We're made of sterner stuff. I look at the second worst assassin I have ever encountered for a few final seconds, standing now exactly where I want him. Then I say the word. Now. A ripple of confusion spreads across his features as the stone slabs beneath him give way, followed by a rictus of terror, and then he is gone, followed shortly after by the barrel. I wait a few seconds as his screams descend in volume. Then I hear a distant splash, followed soon after by a large explosion. I look down beyond the trapdoor into the cave system that stretches far beneath our temple. As I calculated, the underground lake my assassin fell into has contained most of the blast. Then I turn to Jacob, my deputy, who has been concealed behind a pillar at the far end of the antechamber this whole time, hand poised next to a lever set into the wall. That worked well, I say. That's it. Sorry, that went on forever. Sorry.
Sorry, Ed, we
I
know
love
you're
your
incapable
assassin
of doing
voice.
Yeah, that was a stupid voice I gave at Assassin. I decided to do that exactly when I started reading. I'm sorry, I don't know why I did that.
You put the sass in assassin.
Yeah, really.
Exactly.
There was a little bit of Corden in that scene. Don't know if anyone else got the vibes.
Yeah, definitely. I think they'd be best friends.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm not quite sure which of the two.
Yeah, well, he's kind of like a Sherlock Holmes, but he can be a bit of a dick. So I guess Sherlock Holmes can be a bit of a dick, can't he? So
yeah.
Gordon would never be a dick, so I don't know what you're talking about.
So this is out in January.
Yes, only in America and Canada because the UK didn't want me, which is fine. I don't have a right to be published in the UK.
What? No, you gotta explain that. What does that mean?
What's that, sorry?
What do you mean it's only in the US and Canada?
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I'm being traditionally published. So
Oh.
I got a US deal, which includes Canada, and then my agent tried to sell it separately to the UK, and they were like, "No, thanks, we don't like that," which is fine.
But
Yeah, see, congratulations.
Amazon.co.uk has it available for pre-order, so presumably you can order it through the internet.
Well, that's what I like to say. So it may not be in UK bookshops, but thanks to the magic of Amazon, if you have Amazon Prime, you can get it free postage from America. So I like to say it's technically out in the UK as well. So screw you, UK publishers. Oh God, I should say. I'm just, if any of them, they won't be watching, but if they are, I'm just blacklisted from the UK forever. I don't care. I don't give a
Too
shit,
late
it's
for
fine.
you, Ed.
Hey, screw them. Screw them.
And Ed, basically the whole book is like this, really, isn't it? It's just like lots of dialogue and snark.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was a very dialogue heavy bit. There are like fight scenes and there is more description. You know, that's how my book would have been if my editor hadn't gone, you need to like put like action in and description. Because originally like there are hardly any action scenes. And then I was a bit sort of I was a bit like, oh God, I've got to put action in. So I put in a bunch of really stupid action scenes, like really stupid, like which just like people just stabbing each other in the groin and then just kind of laughing about it. And like it's just a bunch of psychos in my book who just stab each other. And I thought this is awful. And then some of the readers so far in reviews have been like, oh, the fight scenes are great. So that just goes to show that authors have no idea about their books or what they're reading. Yeah, so it's very heavy on the dialogue, which might be a bit boring. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, the bits I've read have been very snarky and amusing.
What's
I
that?
have an art copy of it, and the bits I've read are very snarky and amusing.
Yeah, Ed's been very. You've been very elusive about this book for a long time. So we for those who don't know, me and Thea have known Ed for quite a while, and we've seen lots of extra. I mean, I've got an arc now, but we've seen lots of snippets, and some are very, very different to this section. So yeah, I appreciate there are some very different aspects. We're just making fun of you, but yeah, we finally have the book.
Yeah, well, I wasn't allowed to talk about it for like 2.5 years or something.
Yeah.
Because traditional publishing is stupid. So I just it was. Well, I mean, it was. Oh God.
I think they already know.
The hole
shouldn't
can't get
drink it
deeper
at
for
all.
Ed. I mean,
No, it's like my publishers are not going to be watching this. Like I can guarantee you, and they know I'm an idiot, so they'll let me off if they see this. But no, it was delayed for like a year, which can just happen randomly. So you don't normally have to not talk about it for like 2 years, or whatever. It's normally like a year. But I just keep quiet about it for 2 years, and it was just it's just daft. But so I'm so ungrateful now. It's great. Being an author's great.
it does make you grateful for the power the abilities to do what you do with your own book when you self-publish. There's upsides and downsides to everything, but this is definitely one upside, just that freedom.
Yeah, well, I know I have so many friends who are indie authors now, and like obviously, like they tell me how tough it is, and that's true. Like I couldn't do what they do because I'm like a moron. I can't market myself, but like I am a bit jealous of the freedom because you don't really get any freedom on the trad pub route, and you know, sometimes I like more freedom. Sometimes I'm glad people are doing stuff for me because, as you noticed from the start of this, I'm an idiot and I do daft stuff. So I don't know. There's ups and downs on either route, I guess. But like, it's really cool to hear from like you guys and stuff about how self-pub works because, yeah.
I fully expect
I will
you.
say that you and I basically have the same marketing strategy, which is I'm an idiot by my book. And it works decently well. Just saying, like, you know. So I'm an idiot
People
by my
realize
book is
we
not
are
the worst
idiots.
strategy.
People recognize, they see us, Dave, and you're obviously like me, and they see us and they're like, well, he's not faking, he is genuinely an idiot. He's not like putting on a front, he's actually an idiot. So like we'll give
People
him a
do
break
like
and maybe...
sincerity. Yeah, they do like sincerity. They like the real deal. I mean, you know, ticks all the boxes.
Authentic.
Yeah, I fully expect Ed I fully expect you to have a self-published book out in the next 2-3 years.
I would love, someone needs to tell me how to do it because I'm so stupid. Like I'd actually love to do that.
Don't
but
listen to
like,
Lamia about it.
You're gonna be so fed up of like you're just gonna start doing your own ones on the side. You know, you catch the bug.
I mean, I mean, you guys know it's better than me, but like the future's hybrid. You know, like Steve Iron just came out with New York Minutes, which is an amazing book. And that's so he's gone hybrid. Like the future's hybrid.
I can definitely see self-publishing my other series because it is so cross-genre that most people are like, we don't want to touch that. It is not nicely defined as anything. So I suspect that one's going to go down the self-publishing route. For those who don't know, I'm like in the middle between the Secret Scribes and Ed. I'm with a small indie press. So I have either the best or the worst of both worlds. Like someone tells me stuff to do and I have to do marketing. So
yeah, it's interesting. We could talk a whole other session about this, just to compare notes, because it's unusual to get this many different publishing routes together actually in one room. If you think about it,
we could definitely do a whole
another night.
The hybrid kids. That's great. It's great.
That would be the name.
Underestimate the power of idiots. My new
motto.
Nice story.
Boris Johnson was an idiot, but in kind of different way, and he ruled the country, didn't he? So
let's not talk about idiots ruling countries. Let's
not dwell on. I mean,
I would rather trust you two.
I mean, the idiots that are coming and the idiots that have gone have set a very low standard. So, you know, the bar is not very far to reach.
But you can already write, so you're slightly higher up over that bar anyway. You know how to spell something.
Maybe.
If you're an editor, you proofread Lamia's book, you better know how to spell.
You also edited and proofread Bard, didn't you, Spricket?
I did, yes. And I've just I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. Sure, might hate me, but I've just finished line editing his novella that's coming out, which is, I think it's even better. Like if you're watching,
I've read it. I beta read it. It is so fun.
It's so funny. It's just so funny. He's just getting better and better. It's so funny.
Ed, you might be jealous of this, but I just got an email a few minutes ago with the book 3, A Claiming of Souls, R.A. Sandpiper. Alpha reading. So, yeah.
I am quite jealous. Sandpiper, where's my? I love that series. Yeah,
It's
that's
so good.
that's so good. That's one of my favorite books of the year, actually. The second one, I absolutely loved it.
All right. Well, I guess everyone, we are here. We're finally here for the main event. If you have a copy of The Wingspan of Treason, if you will hold that up now, or if you have a cat, you can also hold that up.
The cat wins. The cat wins. Okay,
I
this is
need
why
a
I say
physical
goodnight.
copy. My Kindle's in the other room.
Don't worry. Oh, thanks. Hi. Oh my God, so many copies of my book on one screen.
So, the reason we're all here, even though Lamia has said that it's not the reason we're all here, but it's the reason we're all here, to celebrate Lamia's release in 2 days for her absolutely 1 day. Her absolutely 2 days for me, 1 day for you. Absolutely amazing book. I've only read 10%, and like I said, it is the best writing I have read in several years. When I finish it, I feel like it's going to be the book of the year. I just have to actually read this many pages in a physical book by that time, and it's not an audio book because Lamia won't growl. But basically, she is going to read for us, and you will see why she needs to record her own audiobook. And it's going to be amazing. So everyone in the chat here, strap in and enjoy The Wingspan of Treason by the one and only Lamia Bayan.
I knew I was going to regret that comment, by the way, about why I'm about audiobook recording. I just knew this was going to haunt me forever, and so far it has. But anyway. So thanks, guys. This is not just about my book. It's meant to be about the releases, but the book does happen to be out on Tuesday. And I'm really bad at pitching it. So after, but it's one of many books. So I'm actually just ready to be done with the book. Thanks, Dave. That's the prettiest cover you're ever going to see of this book because I printed that independently, and Amazon and Ingram are just not going to make it as shiny. But there we go. So, so in terms of a quick pitch, so it's an adult epic fantasy. It's set in a continent that's basically divided by a tactical dam, which has historically made the south a desert and the north a very prosperous steel trading kingdom. The south consists of lots of clans who are constantly feuding. And at the start, our main character has just discovered a plot for his assassination and escapes with his 2 friends into the south, which proves to be a journey of self-discovery because the desert is sentient and it's full of secrets, and lots of people find out lots of things on the way which change the course of their futures, basically. That's my quick pitch. So I'm reading a section from fairly early in the book. So Klaus is haunted by dreams. He is he thought he was from a royal family, so the House of Wintermantle, which is next in line to the throne. So he's kind of very bitter about the fact that he's just found out that he's not. And he often has dreams that revisit his past and his growing up. And really, that's the only time you learn more about the North, in this book at least, through his dreams or his nightmares. It was the first time he had seen Lord Wintermantle truly angry. 10 years it had taken. The man had the patience of stone. "But I don't want to be trapped here," Klaus protested, finally braving the words he had nursed every night since Master Arnanda had taken possession of his life. "I want to be a wayfarer like Manghild Youngwater and travel all the parts all the way to the utter east." He had often heard it said that a Wintermantle's rage was the foundation of the Sterns, unlikely to avalanche, but colossal if ever it should. But he had assumed this rage had died with Grandfather. Lord Wintermantle's face broke with the darkness of storm clouds erupting. You are not a freeman to choose your path, he thundered. He grabbed the scruff of Klaus's neck and strode him to the balcony. Trapped? All this and you want more? All this and you think you will not be satisfied? Below them, the splendour of Dunraven stretched all the way to the horizon. Towers and castles and jewel-hued rooftops, 1,000 markets, countless streets and alleys, untold riches. The ringing of a hammer on anvil channeled its soul. In the pre-dusk, it glowed from within, perhaps with the sheen of the Invalmari steel, which had made it surely the greatest citadel in all the parts. Lord Wintermantle's rage ebbed away as quickly as it had broken. You will travel, he said flatly, and for a moment Klaus thought he'd imagined the ghost of regret in his grey eyes. So long and far that you will long for the scent of your wife and child, and wonder whether they were not merely remembered from a dream. You will lead the Isaranheri throughout more of the world than you ever wish to see. There, until you are crowned, you will know more roads than men. But they voyage only to fight, only to serve. More protests rose in Klaus's throat, but he didn't dare provoke the man again. Whatever had tempered Lord Wintermantle's anger, it was a complex creature that must have forced upon him the weight of the world to iron him back to such evenness. All cubs wish to roam, to discover, even when they don't know the inside of their own den. When father looked at him like that, Klaus found it difficult not to listen. How can you seek to know strangers in the distance, when the fate of a whole nation rests upon your own? Lord Wintermantle's gaze became lost somewhere down there amongst the anthills of the citadel. Millions of lives, each a whole world, entrusted to you to protect and to serve. Men and women who wish to be given purpose, who wish to be known. Everybody that sleeps hungry will be your responsibility. Every discontented heart is a fist waiting to strike against the blood pact. If you wish to travel, go down there and know them. They are the bricks and mortar of this palace, these streets. It will be a longer and more difficult journey than anything you could map. Yes, my lord. The trouble was, once Klaus started listening to Lord Wintermantle, he usually imbibed deeply until the fervour of his fancies was dulled, and he was ashamed of whatever his own feelings had been. I'm sorry I overlooked my duty. You are my son, Alfred Klaus. You will be king when I am gone. You will be the arbiter of their happiness, and their happiness is the resin that binds the blood pact. And if you are to make anyone happy, you must first know them. Lord Wintermantle's eyes, the colour of smoke, always seemed to sift straight through Klaus, to trickle into all the cracks and fill them with his will. His form was magnificent. Let that be your voyage, and it will last the rest of your life. And that's the end of the section. What I should have said is that Klaus has always wanted to be a map maker and to journey and not to kind of go with what, his duties and etc. of a prince, but he's full of rebellion. Eventually he gets tamed, but this is one of the moments where he hasn't been tamed yet.
Which chapter is that from, Lamia?
That is, oh God, why did I just close the book? It's page 49, so chapter 5, so quite early.
Just to share for everyone, because this is also one of the prettiest books. This is the start of chapter 5, so you can see Lamia's amazing artwork on every chapter is different.
I showed some of these yesterday in our the live we had yesterday, where we also were talking about this, but and once again Lamia had said she won't do her audiobook because she won't do the beast voices, and I said I'll do the beast voices. So however you want the beast to talk, I'll do them like, yes, whatever you say. There you go. We're good to go. But yeah, awesome book. It is, like I said, it is the prettiest book on the inside. And also just like the writing is absolutely out of this world. Like
You have the
Lamia and I
dialogue.
both did the lit fic thing, and she's a better writer than I've ever been. So.
Oh,
Well,
thank
it's
you,
like
Dave.
people go on about Rothfuss and his prose, right? And I think your prose is well better than Patrick Rothfuss. Like,
Oh,
honestly,
yeah.
like I think
Oh my god,
it
I've
knocks
not
it out
read
the park.
Rothfuss. Thanks, Ed.
There's a
I've
there's a
not read
fancy
Rothfuss.
consensus that that's like the best prose, and like, you know, no offense to him, but like yours knocks it out of the park. So if you like that, then you know Lamia is like that, but better.
Oh, thank you. This is
So-
the bit that I don't enjoy. Where you're
What
saying
you
nice
guys
things
should all
about my
do if
book.
you're in the chat, I believe it is available for pre-order now, and it's available for order tomorrow, maybe.
So it's available as on the Kindle, I think. For some reason, it wouldn't show up for everyone. It should be showing up for more people now, but I could not for the life of me get paperback pre-orders. So hopefully those will be going out on live on Tuesday, and I'll add some more paperback options, and eventually there'll be a hardcover. But I'm not going to worry about that just yet.
But definitely go pre-order the paperback or pre-order the ebook. And then when the paperback comes out, buy that too, because this book is good enough that you want more than one copy of it. So you should definitely make that happen because, like I said, this is, I'm going to say right now that I feel like it's going to be, Luke Winch already said it was his book of the year. I feel like there's going to be a lot more people in the next month and maybe into next year when they actually get the book finished who say, this is the best book we have read in a long time.
Oh, thank you, Dave.
So
Thank you.
go buy the book.
You should
I'm
enter
trying to put a
Spiffo,
universal Amazon
next
link.
year as well.
Sorry.
I'm trying to. Sorry, go on, Ed.
No, I was just going to say you should enter Spiffo next year because I think you'd get far.
I'm not really a competition person, to be honest. Like I'm just not. I didn't write it for those purposes. I'm just quite easygoing. And if also on that note, for anyone who has an arc, I don't mind if you don't read it or finish it. You don't have to review it. I'm so chilled out about this stuff. I'm not going to be like waiting. I have no expectations. So I have the same attitude towards competitions. I just you know, it's just enough that it's out there and people are enjoying it, and I get to write it. So you know. But thank you.
We'll siphon off a little of Dave's anxiety and put it your way. So
Hey, I have anxiety, but I've been very cool about things. I feel like ever since the book came out.
yeah,
Before the book,
it was
like,
the year and a half before
I don't know
that.
what I'm doing. No, I don't know what I'm doing. But now it's like, we're good.
You have relaxed a bit, yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Dave was
The only
perfectly chill
thing
all the way through. What are you guys doing with that?
I should have just sent the link into the chat. Apparently, I'm the only one who's allowed to send links into the chat. Because
all the power.
That cool.
No, I think I
power.
sent one today.
But yeah, so everyone is read. We can kind of talk a little bit more. We've been on here for an hour and 42 minutes, so we probably won't stay on for too much longer. But I figured it would be a good idea to let everyone have another chance to pitch their book, ask any final questions, and then end with everyone showing their copies of Wingspan of Treason again and yelling buy this book. Everyone.
UK guys, you guys have to work tomorrow or chase Sprite. So do you want to go to bed or no? You don't. This is like this is prime Ed out waking time. This is
Ed is nocturnal.
I'm up for another 2 hours or something. Yeah.
This is like 9 a.m. for you, but like Tom and Thea, if you need to go, this has gone on for a lot longer than we thought. So
it was a great session,
in a good way, but.
Yeah, I'll need to bow out, but no, I just wish you all the success, Lamia. It's stunning the amount of effort and artistry you've put into the Wingspan of Treason. So it's a very exciting time, and yeah, roll on. Thanks, tomorrow.
Tom. Thank you. Looking forward to cheering on your Sky Pirates in a few months. Hopefully.
Be excited for Tom's book, The Corsair. It is going to be awesome. It's coming out in 2025.
Exciting.
Can I get an arc, Tom? Can I get an arc of it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I've got enough. I'm
Lucky
going to
you.
start it
John
after
said
my
I,
book's out. He's going to compare notes. Tom will talk about you in our notes. It'll be all
But
good.
thanks, guys. I hope everyone has a great night. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in
Bye,
and
Tom.
watching. and I'll
Thank you
catch
for
all soon.
coming. Have a good night. Thea? do you need to run as well? Or?
Well, I'm writing a book that's about a dream walker while Sprite's at nursery tomorrow. So if I'm asleep while doing it, it's probably actually a benefit.
Research.
This is
Yeah.
research, yeah.
We have a question of which author would win a pie eating contest.
Ooh.
I would lose automatically because I have celiac disease and I'm gluten free, and I probably wouldn't be able to eat the pies unless they were specifically made gluten free.
Let's assume they're gluten-free. Gluten-free crust.
I also am diabetic, so I probably wouldn't eat it.
Okay, fine. All right, fair enough.
I'm very vain, so I watch my diet like an absolute vain moron. So I would have one pie and be like, "Well, that was very nice. See you later."
It's Alex.
I
Look
guess
at him.
I
He
win.
has
Woo,
this
pie.
thing.
think it is,
If
Alex.
Thanksgiving on Thursday, I will give you a run for your money on pie eating on Thursday.
All right, I did have a question for Lamia. How did you come up with your political structure of the Sturmsinger chain? Because that's very unique. I don't think I've seen anything quite like it in fantasy before.
To be honest, I quite liked, I wanted something that was a bit different to a traditional, sort of a traditional dynasty. Power sharing was the first thing that came to my mind. And then, without giving away too many spoilers, no one truly is able to share power indefinitely and keep things going smoothly. So things, are going to inevitably lead to some friction at some point, and I wanted something that had scope for that. But yeah, I don't remember exactly how, but I didn't want to have just traditional kind of, blood related kind of heir. I mean, their families built on blood, but their system of heirs, but the power sharing.
Real quick, explain what it is for people who don't know.
Okay, so basically there are 5 royal houses who managed to the northern part of the continent used to consist of lots of warring tribes, similar to the south, but different. Almost 1,000 years before the story takes place, a warlord from the far north comes along and unites enough of them to create a kingdom. And then the 5 biggest houses who kind of contributed their armies and their help to the warlord decided to unite with him and create a chain of rulership to avoid any further conflict. He dies, so his house is taken. He doesn't have any heirs in the start of the story, and he's kind of taken out of the picture. So you've got the 5 remaining houses, and they basically take turns for 3 generations each to rule the kingdom. So there's always a kind of, if you don't get your turn now, you get your turn in 3 generations, and the idea is to reduce strife. And part of his legacy is that he has a vision from a spaewife who's sort of a fortune teller, that after all the bloodshed that was involved in creating the kingdom, if the kingdom were to fall civil strife again, then it would be destroyed. So there is an extra pressure to avoid civil war, basically, and hence you have this power sharing kingdom. And it's managed to run for sort of approaching 1,000 years when the story starts.
Yeah, a very unique political structure.
I don't know how unique it is because I'm not actually that well read in fantasy, to be honest with you, but I like the sound of it. So.
Well, Rach is here, and she's just said this is the first time hearing your voice, Lamia, and she agrees with me. You need to record your audiobook, so
She didn't say that strictly. You added that in, but
I don't know. Maybe.
But hi, Rachel. Hi, Rachel.
Everyone who's heard you read it has said that you should read the audiobook. So
that's very kind. Yeah, just because you should do something doesn't mean that you will.
You might have lost it by the time you get to the end because it's so long.
Sounds like Thomas is about to come up.
I'm not
Oh,
allowed
it's
to
just
say this, but Lamia's good at like everything. She banned me from saying this.
we
but, like,
agreed
Lamia's-
you wouldn't agree to
Okay,
say
can I say it
I'm
then?
not.
Lamia is
I've
good
not
at
said the
everything.
word. I've not said the word that you banned me from saying.
I just show you what I'm good at. I just hide the stuff that I'm not so good at. That's the way. And that's the
No.
approach.
The only thing Lamia
He's-
is not good
he's
at
just
is
good at everything.
accepting praise.
I
But
think it's my bedtime now.
Yeah.
but so Rach is here. She definitely heard that I was bragging to Ed that I have a copy of book 3 and he doesn't.
He's full of
So-
envy, Rachel.
Yeah, I
Yes.
need to know certain plot points right now. I'm very envious.
So yeah, Rach says you're terrible at drawing maps.
I think Ed has a bone to pick with you, Rachel. Because he's not alpha reading book 3. Dave has been stirring mischief in your absence.
I would never do
It's
that.
fine. It's fine. I'm the reviewer. I'm just the weirdo that comes along and just goes, "Oh, that was really good." Dave will actually give advice and stuff. I assume. Oh, that's very kind of you, Rachel. No, I'll stick with reviewing because then I just get to sit back and just like love it and then just write 500 stupid words. So like,
Well, Ed, if
giving
you
advice.
want like a certain plot point to happen, just like send me a private message and I'll be like, Rach, I feel like such and such should happen, and we'll see what works.
Yeah, I'll just say, yeah, more of this character, please. I need to read what's the Viantha one, that novella that's just come out. Is Rachel like, are you drunk, Rachel? You've done like 10 messages in a row. What's that?
That's how she is just in general. She talks a lot in short bursts.
It's just so I've had a drink as well. I'm not insulting you. I've had a drink as well. It's fine.
Ed's theme for the night is just digging in a bottomless hole.
Oh, I
Still digging.
mean, not that any of you guys are going to watch this back anyway, but like I could never watch this back. I've said so much stupid stuff. Like I came in, I had a webcam over another webcam.
Late.
I insulted some guy's name in a chat. I insulted my publishers. I insulted TradPub. I made fun of my book. I technically made fun of my readers by saying they shouldn't like my stupid fight scenes. I've just been an absolute catastrophe tonight. I need to learn how to like just be more like sensible and quiet on these things.
It's not just
Don't
tonight.
worry, Rach. Ed has shown his incompetence, so you don't have to worry about breaking his illusion of your competence.
No,
Click
Rachel's
that
like
summary now,
proper.
Ed,
She
and
does
just
those.
Put
What's
the
that?
summary out there. They don't have to watch the whole thing. They can just see your summary of all the stuff and just put that out there for everyone to see.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
gonna be
Don't-
Twitter tomorrow.
I mean,
Just back
Bo
up.
has already said he is doing that, so.
Okay. I blame it on being
So-
a Gen Z millennial cusp child. Okay. She's just told us her age then. I could work because I know the exact boundaries.
20-ish, 20-something. Yeah.
It
I
would
mean,
be
she has said
27,
publicly
28.
what her age is on the TikTok.
Okay, yeah.
So.
So I wasn't like doxing her there.
Still digging. Just
Her
digging.
address
This
is-
has turned into the doxing of Rachel Sandpiper. Oh god.
So we should probably, we're almost at 2 hours now. We should
Let's
probably
wrap
do
up.
one last pitch of everyone's books and then end by singing a song to Lamia.
Oh no! Oh, just a good night. Thank you for coming.
All right. So Alex, you want to go first?
The Autolyx Stone, young adult fantasy adventure, where Aster, who's the postmaster's son, leaves the village to try to cure it.
All right. And that book will be on sale come Friday.
Yeah, for the Black Friday
Mhm.
sale. 99 cents.
So Friday through Sunday, Alex's book will be on sale for 99 cents. You should go pick it up. And if you've ever wanted to read a book about a postmaster's son, and even if you haven't, it's a lot of fun.
It is.
I need to read it.
All right, Thea.
So I have the Seer of York series. I read From the Hiding, which is dark supernatural fantasy about an illegal witch hunting down an arcane killer.
So my day job, right?
And a visit to York. through the
It's so
pages.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you like York, you can just read it for the descriptions of York.
Oh, if you want to visit and you just can't.
And for those of you in the chat, if you hadn't heard, Thea has said if you come to York, she will show you where she has murdered people. So it's kind of a win-win.
Where people have been murdered, isn't it? Not where she's murdered people.
No, I feel like she said where she has murdered people.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
the number of people who I've killed across these 3 books. Let's be fair. Like, if GC's doing more stuff, I'm already on their list.
You'd be a great killer, though, I think, because no one would suspect you because you're quite a nice person.
I have literally pranked people in my office at work because my husband and I work in the same office, and he has gotten the blame even though he had nothing to do with it because I'm the nice one.
Oh no!
There you go. Like if me or Dave killed someone, I would be like, "Well, of course, then, you know." But
I am a very nice person. I would never kill someone.
Lamia could get away with it.
People, Lamia would do it, and like no one would ever know.
No one would know. They wouldn't even know someone was dead.
She's good at everything, even killing people.
Oh, she.
Now I've got to try just to prove you wrong. I'll start with Dave.
Wow.
So if Dave shows up alive, we know you did it badly.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Let's hopefully she does it badly then. I will go ahead, Corey. You're good. Lamia's book's amazing. And my book is The Envoys of War. And it is a fun fantasy adventure, lots of banter, lots of great swords, just the right amount of curse words, just like enough curse words to get you through, but not the really bad ones, because I am a teacher and I don't want to have a book that's like F-bomb, F-bomb, F-bomb every other word, because I teach high school and those kids would never let me hear the end of it. So yes, I had a lot of fun writing it. It is currently on sale for 99 cents on Kindle all week, because I was going to set it up for sale for Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday for the Black Friday sale. And I had no idea how long it would take. So I set it up for sale on Saturday because it says it could take up to 72 hours. And an hour and a half later, it was on sale. So we're doing an impromptu little mini thankfulness sale with me and Bella and Lorraine, who are in the Secret Scribes, because all of our books are now 99 cents on sale for the rest of the week. Alex wasn't cool enough, so we did not include him in
I was wondering why you decided to do it like that.
Now because I didn't know how long it would take, and it went through really quickly. So, my book's on sale. It's 99 cents for the entire week. People have read it. People have liked it. People have read it and liked it. Other people probably haven't liked it, but they haven't told me. Or maybe if you have, but that's fine.
I've read it twice.
It's a great read.
Alex has read it twice. Lamia's read a few pages. Ed's read the first third. Tom read the book and reviewed it and liked it. So, people have read the book. If you'd like to read the book, you can read it too. All right. Ed.
Oh yeah, Lightfall. This is a review copy, not the final hardback. Vampires, werewolves, sorcerers, epic fantasy, but no humans in this book. It's a human-free book. It is out in America and Canada, but not the UK, as we joked about earlier. Let's not go there again. However, if you got Amazon Prime, you can order it on Amazon if you're in the UK. So the joke's on the UK. It's out. When is it out? It's out January the 14th. That's in less than 2 months. That's quite scary. I have lots of things I need to do, which I'm probably not going to do. So please buy it, because I'd like to carry on writing books. But Thea's reading it, and some other people read it, and they've said it's all right. So
I read the prologue, and it was fantastic.
Yep.
And I've got my arc, and I can't wait to dig in post release.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's all downhill from the prologue, so sorry, Dave.
I mean, the first couple of chapters
Just
were
stop
also
now.
pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, and Lamia, finish us off here.
So my debut epic adult fantasy, which is Too Long, is out on Tuesday. Please take a peek. Lots of pictures,
Oh,
lots
yeah.
of maps.
It's so good. So good. She's like I'm not allowed to say the word, but she's very good.
She's an expert at everything.
She is. Rachel said she's read. Is that mine, Rachel? You've read
No,
it?
she's read
Oh my
mine.
God.
On boys.
That was the most narcissistic comment. Oh God. Okay, don't do that.
Rach will read yours. Don't worry.
Just forget it. Oh God. Okay, you should read Lamia's though, because Lamia's brilliant.
And then read Ed's. It's out in January.
I don't deserve anyone to read mine after that comment.
And then after you've read those, read Alex's and Thea's, and then if you've exhausted all the other options, mine exists.
You've got to love authors. We write these books, we publish them, and everyone's like, we don't want to talk about them or read them.
I'm sure everyone else has been through this, but you that kind of just looking forward to being done, like post-release. I'm just looking for. I mean, you guys have probably been through this before, but I'm looking forward to the post-release, just like hibernation period.
The burnout, yeah, that's pretty nice.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, I'm so burnt out. Like,
I'm burnt out before the book's out, and it's just.
Oh, that was Dave's strategy. Yeah,
you've got to talk about it all the time, haven't you? And like, do you guys get to periods where you just hate your own book and you're just like, fucking hell, I don't want to talk about this anymore?
Yep.
I'm just like, yes, I did, like 2 days ago. I was telling my husband, I wish I'd never written a book. I have so many regrets.
I mean, I still love my book, and I don't think I've ever had that moment of hating it. But I also have wanted to just take a nap for like 3 weeks.
I want to just let my 2-year-old promote it for me instead. He'd be much better at it. He goes up to people in bookstores and like, Mommy's book, I read it now. I'm like, I can't tell him to do that, but he can. And he loved Lamia's book. So if you want a review from a 2-year-old, he's read it twice, the whole thing, and pronounced it very good, and summarized it as, once upon a time, there was an adventure, the end. Good book.
Accurate. Very
There are
good.
pictures.
Very accurate.
So there you go. There's a recommendation for someone who's read the whole thing twice.
All
All
right.
250,000 words of it. Yeah.
Well, everyone, we're at over 2 hours.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Thank you if you stayed this entire time, you are a saint. If you popped in halfway through, you're half of a saint. Like,
did anyone stay?
Rachel, you're like 1/9 of a saint, but that's still more than
If anyone's
zero
coming in now, just the main thing, read Wingspan of Treason. It's amazing.
Read Wingspan of Treason. And then after you've read that, check out our other books. They're pretty fun too. And hope everybody has a great night. If you will all wave your copies of Wingspan of Treason around awkwardly until we actually get this stream to end. Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
you for staying.
Yes,
Thanks for
guys.
coming.